When Saul realized he had been rejected by God, his heart filled not with repentance, but with rebellion and despair. Though the prophet's words of rebuke struck him with force, he refused to accept the justice of the divine judgment. He brooded over his misfortunes, believing that his military valor should outweigh his disobedience. Rather than humble himself, he grew desperate, his mind slipping toward madness. In hope of relief, his counselors advised that music might soothe his tormented soul. In the providence of God, David, a young shepherd skilled in playing the harp, was summoned to the court. His music, inspired and pure, calmed Saul's troubled spirit, lifting the heavy cloud that oppressed him. David did not remain long at court, returning often to his flocks with gladness. Though Saul expressed delight in his music, David preferred the hills, where he maintained a spirit of humility and devotion. Yet his brief visits to the court gave him insight into the burdens of royalty and the sorrows that plagued the king. He perceived the unrest in Saul's house and the weight of temptation that accompanied power. These reflections caused anxiety in David's heart, for he had already been anointed as the future king. But in his solitude, he turned to his harp, and the melodies he played lifted his mind to God, who had always been his refuge. In the quiet of the fields, God was preparing David for greater responsibilities. Like Moses before him, David was being trained to lead. As he protected his flock, he gained understanding of the care the divine shepherd has for his people. The hills he roamed were not without danger. Lions and bears sometimes emerged from the wilderness, preying upon the sheep. Armed only with a sling and staff, David fearlessly pursued the beasts, delivering his lambs from their jaws. He proved his courage by slaying them with his bare hands if they turned on him. These early battles taught him strength, resilience, and unwavering trust in God. Even before he served Saul, David had gained a reputation as a valiant youth, brave, wise, and favored by the Lord. When Israel went to war with the Philistines, 3 of David's brothers joined the army, while he remained at home. One day, his father sent him to the battlefield with provisions for his brothers and to learn of their well-being. But behind this simple task was a higher purpose, for God had appointed David to bring deliverance to Israel. As David approached the camp, he was met by the cry of battle. The armies of Israel and the Philistines faced one another in the valley, but no combat had yet begun. David greeted his brothers, and while speaking with them, heard the voice of Goliath, a towering warrior from the Philistine ranks, issuing a challenge to Israel. Day after day he had mocked them, demanding that one man come forth to face him in single combat. None in Saul's army had dared accept. David's spirit burned within him at the giant's defiance. He could not understand how the army of the living God could tolerate such insults. "Who is this that defies the armies of God?" he asked, filled with zeal. When his eldest brother heard him, jealousy stirred. Memories of the prophet's visit to their home, when David had been chosen above them, fueled his resentment. Belittling his youngest brother, he accused David of pride and insolence, saying he had only come to watch the battle. David's response was calm yet firm. "What have I done? Is there not a cause?" Word of David's boldness reached Saul, and the king summoned him. David declared his willingness to fight the Philistine. Saul was astonished, warning him of the danger, but David recounted how he had defended his flock from wild beasts, trusting in God for deliverance. "The same God who delivered me then will deliver me now," he said with quiet confidence. With little hope of success, Saul agreed and placed his own armor upon David. But the heavy mail and helmet hindered the youth. He removed them, choosing instead the tools of a shepherd, his staff, sling, and a pouch with 5 smooth stones from the brook. Thus armed, he approached the battlefield. Goliath strode forward, proud and defiant. His armor gleamed in the sunlight, bronze and iron weighing heavily on his massive frame. Behind him walked his shield-bearer, When he saw David, a mere youth with no armor, he scoffed in rage. "Am I a dog," he sneered, "that you come at me with sticks?" He cursed David and vowed to feed his body to the birds and beasts. David stood unshaken. "You come with sword, spear, and shield," he declared, "but I come in the name of the God of Israel, whom you have defied. Today he will deliver you into my hands. All will see that God does not save by sword or spear. The battle belongs to him." The calm courage and unwavering faith of David echoed across the valley. Goliath, enraged, lifted his helmet and advanced. David ran swiftly toward him, took a stone from his pouch, and slung it with sure aim. The stone struck Goliath's forehead with force. The giant staggered and fell face down to the earth. Both camps froze in shock. The champion of the Philistines lay defeated by a shepherd's hand. David seized Goliath's own sword, cut off his head. A cry of triumph rose from Israel. Panic spread among the Philistines, and they fled in terror. The men of Israel surged forward, pursuing their enemies down the valley and beyond the gates of the Philistine cities. The victory was complete. David returned from the battlefield carrying the head of the slain giant. He placed Goliath's armor in his tent and brought the evidence of triumph to Jerusalem. From that day forward, the shepherd of Bethlehem was no longer unknown. He had silenced the boast of the enemy, preserved the honor of his people, and proved that trust in God is mightier than sword or spear.